Yeah, beyond limits. Phoenix gon' rise. Yeah, I'll never underestimate another man. Cause what I can't do, that brother can. And I hope the people understand disability.
To some, a chosen career path is persuaded more by the remuneration associated with the particular profession. For others, it is simply about passion for a preferred job, and to a larger extent, academic preferences form the basis of a chosen occupation. For this particular profession, however, more than just passion, academic qualifications and dedication are involved. It is a calling.
Autism is defined medically as a spectrum neurodevelopmental disorder, or a spectrum of neurodevelopmental disorders that are characterized by deficits in two main areas of development. One is speech, language, and communication, and the other one is to do with the characteristics of stereotypical, rigid, and repetitive behaviors. When we say it's a spectrum, we're saying that it ranges in severity from mild to severe. Children with autism usually have difficulty speaking or communicating verbally. They may struggle with making eye contact, reading facial expressions and gestures, and playing socially with others. They usually play alongside each other. They get along, but they don't necessarily play with each other. They have some difficulties with imagination as well. You might find a child with autism is lining up their toy cars rather than pretending that that car is a real car. Or they might be throwing or just playing with the lids of a doll instead of imagining that it is a real baby. And then with the repetitive behaviors, they usually become very attached to something. Autism is a lifelong condition. It's not an illness or a disease that you take a blood test for and take pills to cure it. It's something where you have to empower the child to be able to cope with their environment and to be able to manage and to be able to adapt to what's around them so that they are independent and able to communicate, whether with language or otherwise. My son Tawana learned how to use the toilet at the age of 15, and you can imagine he was wearing Pampers all throughout. Well, the minute he peed or was able to urinate into the toilet, we had to reward him abundantly. And so with the repetition of that exercise, he eventually got it, and he goes to the toilet on regular intervals together with a member of staff. Yeah, so he's only wearing adult diapers at night. This is our school, our center, Pathways Autism Center for Excellence, Center of Excellence. And as you can see, we've written on the wall, explore my world, unlock my potential. This is our logo, Pathways Autism Trust. The circle represents the world of the child, and the path is a pathway through the child's life. The jigsaw puzzle pieces are the symbol of autism. That's the internationally accepted symbol of autism. We use a lot of pictures and visual prompts, visual tools. We use what we call visual over verbal learning. In order to emphasize a point, we may take a picture and show it to the child. We want the child to sit down, and we're saying, this is sitting, showing the child that this is a sitting position. Whenever a new child comes into the school, we use a camera to capture them doing these activities which are structured. So although this is a written timetable that can be used by the teacher, his timetable is actually this sequence of pictures. It starts from here going down to the bottom. So as he completes an activity, the teacher will bring the child to that activity and remove the activity picture from the schedule. So each child has got their own visual schedule like that. Each child has got their own locker, which should have a picture of the child on it, and a color. The color will be dedicated to the particular child, and that color will be repeated wherever the child has their things. So Tawana, for example, has this blue here. You'll see the blue is also on his visual schedule. His plate is blue, his cup is blue, his placemat when he eats is blue, this same color. All the members of staff here at Pathways are qualified professionals in different disciplines. So you may have a background in occupational therapy, or be a rehabilitation technician, combining occupational therapy, speech therapy, and physiotherapy. Or we have psychologists here. We have early childhood development teaching background people who are here, and nurse aid background as well.
I did Masters of Science in Child-Sensitive Social Policies. It helps me with relating well with the kids and also relating with the parents. Like for example, when I look at the psychosocial support, like when it comes to this, I'm able to also help the parents on how to handle the kids on some areas. And I think I'm able to just notice and address a problem that a child might face.
Dominic Mascati is an honours graduate in psychology from UKZN in South Africa. And then I'm aspiring to get to become a clinical psychologist in the future. Personally, I have a mental illness background from my relatives. I have a couple of relatives actually, who are suffering from mental illness. So, as a family, and as well as my relatives, we haven't been able to find adequate help from I'd say from our relatives and in Zimbabwe as a whole. So I felt that maybe if I manage to get into clinical psychology, then maybe I'll be able to help my relatives by myself. Autism is actually a mental illness. It's mostly a neurological disorder. Basically, the DSM-5, it's sort of a manual that psychologists use to diagnose children or people with mental illnesses. And autism is found in the DSM-5 as well, so it is a mental illness. Symptoms that you can see directly are repetitive behavior, repetitive movements. For example, you can see a child playing with a ball throughout the day, or maybe a child can adhere to a specific kind of routine throughout the day. Let's take, for example, maybe say a child wakes up in the morning, right? And then a child knows that if I go to the bathroom, I'll find my towel on this, in the bathroom, a pink towel, specifically pink towel. And if that child goes to the bathroom one morning and there's that towel, it's not in the bathroom, there's going to be a problem. So it might be repetitive behavior or repetitive adherence to routines. It's not necessarily that if a child has those repetitive behavior, it doesn't mean that the child already has autism. The DSM-5 that I mentioned earlier, it comes with, it is a guide for people, for psychologists to be able to diagnose children. So it has two categories. One of them focuses on social communication and social interaction. Like I said, they have difficulties in social interaction. And the other one focuses on repetitive behavior. So with social interaction, it has three things that a child has to show for the child to be diagnosed as autistic. The first one is social emotional reciprocity. So if you talk to a child, if you talk to a person who doesn't have autism, right, you'll be able to detect this person might be sad, or this person wants this from me, and have a back and forth interaction. But with a child with autism, even facial expressions, they won't be able to detect them. Yes, they won't be able to show them, and they won't be able to even see from your own facial expression that this person is angry. The other one is non-verbal communication. We have hand gestures, we have facial expressions, and stuff like that. Children with autism will not be able to get those non-verbal communication skills, and they won't be able to understand them, and they won't be able to use them. Some of them, they do point. If they want something, they can't speak, so sometimes if they want something, they just point, I want that ball, and you know. But most of them, they won't be able to know how to use or how to interpret them. And then the third one would be difficulties in maintaining or developing or understanding relationships. So you find that a child might have a relationship with a parent, maybe say the father or the mother, but that's where it ends. Most of the time it will be like the child is having a relationship with that person because the child knows that I get food from this person. If I want something, like maybe say, if I want a toy, I know I get it from this person. If I want to be taken care of, I get that from this person. But it doesn't necessarily mean they have a relationship that the child can know that this is my friend. Most of them, they don't even have friends that are their age. They come here and we have children that are their age, the same age as them, but then they just want to be left alone. They want to play by themselves. They don't want to engage anyone. If they engage someone, it's to take something away from them.
Although most of the staff members are qualified in social sciences and trace their ability to care for children with autism to either having a child with a condition or a disabled relative, the devotion associated with working at Pathways overtakes both passion and love for the work. The dedication here is exceptional.
Basically, we teach independency. So what we do is we get children in, and then we assess them together with the parents. The parents tell us a brief history of the children, what they are like at home, how they were when they're growing up, and how they are now, and if there are any problem behaviors, or maybe say if they have problems like toilet training and stuff. So we come up with sort of a profile of the child, that this child is probably on the mild or the severe spectrum of autism, and then based on that profile we develop goals specific to that child only. We might have 10 children, right, but we don't teach the same thing to those children. It's basically we're teaching independence, but the way we're getting to that independence will be different for every child. Yes. So we use a methodology we call teach. So it guides us through teaching the children, but then the children will have different ways of learning.
To these men and women who work with the children daily, it is a calling, and to family who live with them, they have a choice to explore their world and unlock their potential.
Yeah, as a parent, I think I wouldn't overemphasize. I can't overemphasize that, yeah. As a parent, you do experience some pressures just as a member of the community, especially where people are not aware that what is happening is a condition that affects the child, and it's not just the child being naughty or being funny or the parent being irresponsible. Families are affected by stigma. Families are affected by superstition or superstitious beliefs around autism, that it's caused by witchcraft or other things like that. And pressure may be put on the family to have the child go through a series of maybe traditional treatments or prayers or different ways of intervening, apart from the educational and therapeutic services that we're offering as a center. Early intervention is what I would emphasize. And also, don't give up on your child's capabilities, and don't pamper or spoil the child because you think that they can't do something. I think the most important thing people can do is to just familiarize themselves with the concept of there is such a condition. It's not something that only affects people in the Western world, for example. It doesn't distinguish on race, language, geographical location. Even people in the rural areas can be affected by it. And try to then cultivate that culture of awareness in the community so that the children are then tolerated and accepted and integrated into society.
Although the operations are flawless, there are ups and downs associated with taking care of the children with autism. On a bad day, taking care of these children can be a daunting task. Some of them are hyperactive, may refuse to learn, and can even be aggressive. While on the other hand, on better days, some children will have better connection, can obey the standard rules set by their teachers, and respond well to whatever they are taught.
As a family and as a parent, yeah, we went through quite a process of taking the child from the time he was a toddler to different creches, schools, trying this and that, and always ending up with the child being rejected or excluded. So yeah, even special schools we found couldn't actually absorb him into their system. They don't have a methodology that's adapted specifically for autism, and the ratio of the teachers to the children would just be too high. Having a 1-to-1 adult-child ratio, and it just has got to be that way. Otherwise, it doesn't work. The child won't receive adequate attention.
Toilet training. I'm getting used to cleaning up when the children mess themselves up, but I'm not there yet. It's easier for my female counterparts, but for me, I'm struggling. Yeah. And sometimes as you can see, I'm a very skinny guy, and sometimes we get some very strong children coming in. Sometimes they tend to overpower us a little bit. And considering that they don't understand language sometimes and don't understand social cues, sometimes we have to kind of nudge them into doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they're not always happy about that. He's obsessed with touching people. So, especially if he sees new faces, not sexual, just I don't know what he'll be trying to do. So we can't allow him to do that, especially in this pandemic we're facing. We can't have him touching other children every now and then. So when you try to stop him, he becomes aggressive sometimes.
Autism is a condition that is often misunderstood. It is not a mental disorder, but is a generative condition.
One of our children who was very severe when he came in, he couldn't even speak. They say he was more like an animal. You couldn't teach him anything, and if I'm not mistaken, I think there's one of our professionals who advises us who actually thought the child would never be able to speak at any point, but now the child can talk, and he can actually do some very advanced table work, like the ones they teach in mainstream education. He's still developing. We can't put him into mainstream education yet, but
The calling of caring for children with autism needs strict monitoring. The dedication of working with them requires maximum attention, hence the need for a favorable teacher-student ratio, a feat that is difficult to achieve. For those who show signs of positive learning and steady adaptation to normal growth, inclusion in formal education is unfortunately difficult. To compound an already difficult situation, there are few schools that cater for special needs of children with autism.
Autism doesn't come with a manual. It comes with a mum who never gives up. So I think that's a very strong message to give to all mums and all dads, all parents out there who have children with autism. Just never give up on your child and believe in that child's potential. Like here we have a saying, a mantra, explore my world, unlock my potential. And we actually believe that each child is gifted and talented in their own unique way. We just have to find out what that special thing is and give them the platform to bring out their talent. It's a blessing to have a child with this condition. It's a very different experience, and having a child with autism opens your eyes to others around who have the same condition. I also want to invite any family to join our network. So we are on Facebook as Pathways Autism Trust, and then we have a website, pathwaysautismtrust.org.
To those who help them daily at Pathways, it is a calling. To their families, they are as normal as any other human being that deserves love and appreciation. Every life is too precious to neglect.
Yeah, beyond limits. Phoenix gon' rise. Yeah, I'll never underestimate another man. Cause what I can't do, that brother can. And I hope the people understand disability. Yeah, beyond limits. Phoenix gon' rise. Yeah, I'll never underestimate another man. Cause what I can't do, that brother can. And I hope the people understand disability. Another chance to make a friend. Like a coach, a neighbor just to walk.